All right. There's just no way to start a stream properly. Wonder if I could darken this channel up a little bit. Maybe. I don't have the chat on the screen, but that's okay. It'll be in the sidebar. Actually, maybe I could edit that. Let's find out. Will it save the chat forever? It's asking me if I'm using AI content in my stream. So delusional. Whatever. We don't need it. Let's lower this even lower. This is a preset, of course. But oh, you know what I could do? Look at me. Look at that. How cool is that, huh? Really, really awesome stuff, huh? All right. Got a piece of dog hair on there. There you go. Bit more of an underworld vibe now. So this is the swing. For anybody who's blind. Get rid of my S's. Hey, listen. The chicks are going wild. Chicks go crazy for this. Those are actual live chicks. How much am I peaking here? Swing is like a Polyend play in pedal form. Obviously not quite as extreme. Let's make our track length. There we go. Get some polyrhythms going on here. Pretty bad at keeping a beat here. Go. There we go. No, still not. Oh, that track has some crazy swing on it. There we go. We have some effects that we can put on things. Radiator. Does this have a... No, we don't even have a sequencer here. We could. And... And we could change kits, obviously. So, if we want to hold down steps, we can put reverb on specific steps. Or virtually, whatever we want. Bit depth. Of course, we could have chants, so we could like put chants on these. So a 20% chance that any of these will play. Let's see if we could. I've actually never looked. I've actually never looked to see if we have any ratchets. I'm sure we do. Can't imagine Polyend not putting a ratchet in. Yeah, repeat type. Oh wow, we got the whole type. So we got like the normal ratcheting. And that's for each note. Track speed. That's kind of bonkers. Whoa, random notes. Oh, that's beautiful. Random cutoff. Random repeat. What? I gotta try that. Oh, we don't have that enabled, do we? We do now. Whoa. And then if we want to change, we could change just this sound if we don't want to change the whole kit. And then, so let's go to a normal kit. Just, oh, sorry. And then we can also generate beats. Big beat. Let's go drum and bass. And then let's actually try and make a drum and bass beat. Or generate a starter beat. Of course, we're not at a drum and bass tempo. I'll just turn this off for now so we could explore this. And then we have, I think, yeah, weird. Let's go with hip hop. Nice. Probably want to change the kit to something a little more hip hoppy. Peek this out more. There we go. Let's pick a different synth here. That's gross. Whew. That's nasty. Man, I love how they're like off time too. It's gross. Hi, Lucy. Oh, you wanna play? I like that better. Footloose, what are you doing? You're standing on the table right now, hon. What are you doing? What are you doing? You just want to be involved, huh? Right. Why don't you be involved by laying on the floor? Yeah. We need a girl to lay on the floor right now. We need a furry girl on the floor. That's what we need to make this track right, Lucy. You can do it, honey. Very good. She's doing it. She's going to make this real. Actually, she's going to go check out the chickens. And then we could edit all our modulators here. After like that nice little epic thing, this sequence is silly as fuck. So this has a sequencer, each one. I don't even know what it's doing right now. So let me load a different patch entirely. I always want to initialize everything, but we just don't really have time to like go deep into each synthesis method. By the way, this is all being compressed to shit by the press. So just so you're wondering, this isn't actually distorted or there's like nothing wrong with the connectors. It's just something wrong with my head. So if we have that, and we select this one, and we decide that we want to go with now. That sounds silly for this. I'm gonna play with this sound really fast. Ah! Woo! All right, now we just launch all these at once. So these, by the way, in this mode, let's just leave this on for the anything I press here should change with these notes. So maybe not. Do I not have that set up? Yeah, I do. So this is the master controller. You know what? I don't want a sequencer on this. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, by the way, there's polyphonic aftertouch, so you could go. You don't actually have to hit it that hard. I'm making my expression a little exaggerated. Some new sounds. Yeah, by the way, without any of this stuff. Oh my god, I'm blessed. Yeah, I'm really putting this compressor to work. Here, if we don't make things sound a little more reasonable. Honestly, this compressor is ridiculous. Like, It has a sidechain input, but I'm not even using it, but it sounds like it's sidechaining. Blink twice. Justin. I ain't blinking. This is totally script. This is all pre-recorded 6 months ago. Yeah. Yeah. Am I peeking? No, I'm not peeking. It's hard to tell with OBS, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I'm slamming everything through here. So normally, I guess the kick does sound kind of peaky, doesn't it? Let's change the kit. That's cleaner. Ooh. What did I hear there just a minute ago? I heard, yeah, like that DR550 snare. All right. Yeah. It's hard to tell what this sounds like without headphones on, but it's like, it's pretty beautiful here. And then just give it a little bit of grunge. Some of these things don't even have sounds, do they? Oh, maybe that one just has a blank sound on there. I kind of wish that they had a preset that was just like very basic building blocks. Of course, they could just make one in about a minute, but so I can just hold this down like so. And that would be purple. Whoop. Yeah. Wow. So these are just wavetables. And this is obviously going through distortion, I assume. Maybe not. Maybe. see if we can make this pad sound like huge. Wonder if we could add, I guess we could always add another channel. That'll do it. And of course, this will do it. Oop, nope, that would be the wrong one. There we go. Nah, we're not using Ableton. No diarrhea. No diarrhea here. Watch me get sued by Ableton over that. I mean, I hope y'all would have my back. I hope y'all would sign up for my GoFundMe if I got sued for some bullshit like that. Not that Ableton. I've talked to the Ableton folks. They wouldn't do that. I hope they wouldn't. All right, let's load. Yeah, so we could load presets like so. Oh, this is the physical modeler. Let's go with the fat engine. Ooh, I like that. I would like that a little lower. Give me a lower root note. Woo! And maybe give this one, yeah, maybe we could make like a nice little, these chickens are losing their minds over there. They can't even hear what I'm hearing. Everybody should have a chicken in their studio. Or like 12 of them. I think my favorite engine, oh, you know what? I never updated the presets. I think my favorite engine on this entire thing is so there's like I feel like I should be paying attention to this because I've already gone through this thing, but let's go to init. Sure, confirm. Tom K, and I just wrote over Tom K's preset. He's gonna fucking kill me now. Okay, so all these, let's just. So we're all using the same thing. Okay, so here I'm gonna switch my synth engine to the phase. Oh, does that just load a preset? Maybe. Yeah, no, this is straight. Okay. That's for this one. Duh. All right. So that loads presets. All right. And if we just want to, can I just load one of those? Init? Yeah. Yeah, like Hermite FM. I think that's exclusive to this. That's like an exclusive FM algorithm. Oh, that sounds rad. And then if we want to have a sequence, I can just and then that should be in time. Now we have effects. So if we you could actually get like audio rate modulation. That's wild. And then I think there are more effectors. Yeah, this is your delay. Oops. And then you have your reverb, which has plate, warp, and natural. I like warp and plate the best on this. Let's make a nice little pretty chime sound here on this one. Actually, we have granular as well. That's one of our options. Grain. Okay, so I don't have any presets. However, yeah, we could choose all these samples. No, the synth is its own thing. I wouldn't consider it a groove box, really. It's really, if you couldn't tell, it's really, really playable. Like if I had a little bit of prep time and just a little bit of luck, this could be a live set. Like, with no exaggeration. Oh, okay, wow. So we got cloud and burst. I wonder if these are tuned. Whoa! Wow. So we could link all these then. So let's put a nice filter, ADSR filter on this guy. Make it nice and 90s sounding. I mean, we might as well just create a house track now, huh? Now I want to just use an arpeggiator on this one, just because now I actually want to create a house track. Okay, so okay. Wow, there's a lot of art modes. All right, let's turn the tempo up. Okay. Okay, this needs a little bit of release. That's auxiliary, oops. Okay. And what are we going to do with this? I don't know if we could... I wonder how close to an acid line we could get with the sequencer. Well, actually, let's... I'm starting to lighten up to the arpeggiator now. I want everything to be lower, don't I? That's all I want. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, more, mapping, row, no. If I remember correctly, we can... I just want to make sure that I'm doing this right. I don't want to mess up my mote node. Okay. So let's have this be the controller. Mitch was showing this to me. Once you actually have this sorted, it is pretty dope. Because it'll follow. I don't want to speak out of I don't want to like talk out my ass. I'm not totally sure, but I think that the that all these are using the same board. I think that that's sort of part of like the brilliance of it is that these are really sharing a lot of hardware, and that allows them to like, that way if like play sales go down, they can bring tracker sales up a little bit and sales up a little bit. That way they could kind of do that and keep prices, because Polyend's still not a big company, right? So like in another world, like if you imagine some of these other European synth companies, like a box like this costs a minimum of $1,000, and so this way they could keep it pretty cheap, which is cool. And I will figure this out. Macros, maybe? No, it's not macros. MIDI, no. Scene settings. Local mode. Nah. It has to be in grid. I'm just stupid, that's the problem. Maybe it'll follow the scale. No. Yeah, basically these will link. Oh, actually, hold on. Maybe. No, that's a chord. Chord pack, no. Oh, mapping. Was this it? More. It's not the scale, it's not the root. I don't know why I can't figure this out. Maybe it is, I bet it's not there. It's not in effects, obviously. Could it some sort of engine setting? It's unusual. It's like I'm not aware of anything else that does this, what I'm trying to do. Hence why I can't find it as easily, because I'm like, where did they have this? Basically, you can hold these down, like I could hold down shift and go, right? And then as I move this one, all the other notes will follow it. And it's really, really rad for like a performance, right? And then if you set that up with like macros and stuff like that, you're jamming. I'm going to try for like one more second to find it, because it would be very cool to demo this. I definitely should have looked at the manual. Well, I didn't really have time, but yeah. It is a very cool thing. Scene settings, program channel mapping, no. What's local mode mean? No, it's just playing it locally, that's what I figured. MIDI. Yeah, right? That's like just... Oh, here we go. Duh. I am so stupid. Okay. So. Nope, I'm double stupid, because I thought that I found something new, but it's the same thing that I just saw. My goodness. Huh. I'm going to figure it out the moment I stop streaming, and I'm going to be so pissed off. I'm just going to... Oh well. I can use my hands to follow notes. It's not MIDI. Nah, it wouldn't be in there. I bet it's like just shift something and I'm just... That's a preset, that's effects. Okay, I want to be surprised. I'm going to move to a to a house kit. House kit number 8. I want to hear it, and then let's go to a house beat. Just house beat number 1. Very basic. Interesting. Maybe we'll go to a different beat. What was that beat number 1? Oh, I bet I have all my effects. Yeah, that's why. Ooh, I wonder if we have a, well, no, I like this. That's good for now. Oops. I'm silly. Couldn't just stick with the one I liked. Okay, this is pretty retro. Get that. Would I recommend a Synth and a Play Plus? Yeah. Actually, yeah, totally. I think that these work really, really well with other things in the platform. Just because you can, like, if you imagine, like, having some, like, if you imagine having a Play, which, I mean, you know, I have one sitting right over there. I don't really have to imagine, but sending MIDI, you could just use an 1/8 inch cable, just a 3.5 millimeter cable to hook them up via MIDI, as I have here with the step, and then you could trigger patches on all 3 channels with the Play. So like the Play is like a master, or a tracker. They're all kind of a master controller for this. I feel like the Play Plus or the Play would be, the MIDI modes in the Play Plus are actually really powerful, and they're kind of underappreciated in my opinion, but. So you could like do this, you could trigger this with the Play, so it just sits that way. So if you wanted to play a, you know, a solo with some other synth on here. How bothersome is the lag? You know, the Gen Loss, I love it. I think it's a great pedal. I'm super happy with it. What I'm not happy with is it's so fucking, if you notice, it's hooked up to a completely separate power supply because it's so, here's what I had to go through. Not only every single output from this didn't want to work with it. All of these didn't want to work with it. It would turn on, but it wouldn't have any effect. It would not make any noise. Just the light would come on and it would just be a pass through. And then finally this one, for some fucking reason, like they're all, you could even match the milliamps and everything, and it'll refuse it. That's disappointing. Yeah, but there's nothing like it. There's just not anything like the Chroma console might come a little bit close, but like if you really, really just want like a, you know, obviously you have all the dip switches in the back too. It does kind of annoy me that I don't really know what the model means. Like I mean, I would have to bust out a manual, and that's one of those things I never want to do on a pedal. Man, I'm boosting this so much. It's kind of silly, isn't it? Yeah, you could like, Here are the high ends are like rippled. I don't know of another pedal that can do that. Yeah, their manuals are nice. Yeah, I mean, they have their designs are incredible. Best in the business, maybe. Yeah, I don't know pedals that have better design. I also like that they don't. I also appreciate that they don't sell shit on retailers, which I appreciate a lot. They were, I mean, a lot of companies are doing that now, but yeah, Chase Bliss was one of the first to do that, to say, you know what, you're taking way too much money to Sweetwater and everybody else, and then just, that's risky. I mean, you really are slicing off a huge portion of your customers when you do that, but ultimately it pays off. But you have to really, yeah, I mean, you take a risk of losing your business when you do that. Yeah, they did it, but they did it. They're one of the first bigger, more, you know, like the tiny companies did, but, you know, they couldn't really get a good contract with Sweetwater and those types of things anyway. But Chase Bliss was one of the first ones to do that. Yeah, I imagine you would have to like be kind of a hipster to work at Chase Bliss. Not even saying anything bad about Chase Bliss. I just imagine like they're way cooler than I am. Yeah, they would fucking give me a wedgie if I went over there. I'll never go over there. No, see, I know. I mean, interestingly enough, when I first had a YouTube channel, I was watching a lot of, you know, I would like folks like Knobs were kind of the people the algorithm was recommending me the most, and I was like really inspired by their videos. And then to see Knobs like just take I don't know what his position, I don't know if he owns equity in the company or whatever, but seeing him go fully in on that is actually kind of cool. Like, I like that. I like when people have post YouTube plans, right? When people are like, fuck YouTube, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go make my own stuff. That's nice. I dig that. I respect the hell out of that. Because at the end of the day, when you're working for YouTube, we fool ourselves into thinking that this isn't the case, but we're really unpaid employees, you know? Like so for example, the last video, and this isn't the normal algorithm bitching, I promise, which everybody's probably heard from every YouTuber in the world. There's plenty of things to be mad about, but good example. My last video is retention crack, right? Like, it's just literally a new person telling you a crazy correlation in between pro audio and some bullshit like pubic hair. So that's like in terms of retention, like what you would think the algorithm wants. What I'm going to describe is a little bit complicated, but like it'll help you understand how YouTube works, and I'll be as quick as possible. So it's like retention crack, right? Like you can't look away. It's like that by design. And I've made videos like that by design, knowing that they'll do really well in certain circumstances. Like the sonic weapon, when I made people, anybody who's seen the video where I make people read a passage in a book and they can't do it. That one is like retention crack. In fact, in the beginning, I sound like a TikToker because I'm so like, keep watching, give me that retention so we could get, so we can make that video work, because I wanted to finance the hum video. I wanted it to get 1 million views. So this last one, yeah, I mean, it's just nonstop retention. The thumbnail's ridiculous. Thumbnail's about diarrhea. It's like an easy clickable video. It's doing terribly. It's the worst video one of the worst videos that I've made in the last year, by far, right? Performing horribly. Why is it performing horribly? Because people watch, but like the retention's really good. People watched from the beginning to the end, generally. But what ended up happening is most of my videos are like 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. That video's 12 minutes, something like that. It's shorter. And so people watching that, so that the way the algorithm interprets this is that people watching less time means that the video is not as high of quality. And so I used to think, I actually know some people who like work at YouTube and like work, because they do reach out if you have a channel that's large enough. And I said, hey, it's not looking at the percentage of my video, it's looking at the actual minutes. And they're like, oh, that's weird, blah, blah. It dawned on me now that it doesn't fucking matter, right? As long as all YouTube cares about is that you're watching as long as possible. Doesn't matter if my content is as exciting as the last video, or if it doesn't matter what percentage of my video. All it matters are the minutes that I have your eyes connected to the YouTube platform, right? And so that it'll tank a video if I don't have you for 30 minutes. Because it says, he usually has you for 30 minutes. So we're going to give this viewer, the person who's used to watching me for 30 minutes, we're going to give them to another YouTube and have them do it instead, because this video is not long enough. That's fucking gross, isn't it? Like, that's kind of disturbing a little bit. Like, then you realize what you're doing on this platform. You realize or I realize what I'm doing on this platform, what I'm serving, like what higher purpose I'm serving here. It's to make you watch ads, or to make you feel like you're getting a better deal for paying for premium. It sucks. So so things like that, and it's full of things like that. And I notice more and more every single year. And so when I see someone like Knobs have a way out of it and sort of say, nah, I'm going to go do this now. This is cool. And he's still creating, and he's still being creative, and he's still contributing. He's contributing more to the pedal scene now, arguably, than he was before. That's awesome. Anyway. Yeah, I knew the hum video would be, I mean, I can't always, the thing is if the hum video, let's try this, ready? Boof, look at that. If the hum video didn't do well, like if it got like 100,000 views or something, it could have been the end of my channel. Like, it literally could have been the end of it. That video I risked everything with. The budget for that was probably something like $85,000. It was like really crazy, right? Because all the little things keep stacking up, and it's been so much research. And I'm still doing research on it. I'm going to Savannah in a few weeks to do some measurements there. Yeah. So no. So I can't mention with who. I can't. Here's all I can mention in terms of leaving for another platform. A service like Netflix and a producer that puts things on Netflix, I'm in an exclusive contract to make a show for one of those platforms. And there was some disagreements, I guess, just some, they're like, you should do it this way. And I was like, I don't want to do it that way. And they're like, you should do it this way. And I was like, no, I want to keep it sort of similar. It mostly in reference to scientific, because it was a science show, and mostly in reference to being scientifically accurate, which an entertainment company is not into that. They want you to write a script and then shoot it. And And so they just kind of ghosted me and kept me locked in the contract. So I can't actually move to one of those platforms until the contract's over, which is in June. But that's not that long. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not that upset about it. Nebula, man, let me be honest with you about I mean, I feel like some people watching this already probably know how I feel about Nebula. There's some problems with Nebula's structure, and I could make a whole video about it, and it would be very illuminating. But the problem with it is it would seem like I'm attacking everybody who's on Nebula. And then every creator who said, join Nebula at the end of their video would then, you know, anybody who had seen my video would then call them a grifter or some bullshit like that. And that's not what I want to do. So I'm not going to make a Nebula video. But the company's structure is deceptive to a lot of the creators, I believe. And this is from talking to a lot of Nebula creators and looking at their paperwork. A lot of Nebula creators believe that they own equity in the platform. And they don't. They own something called shadow equity. And the way it's set up, it could be pulled out without them getting any of it. So they're contributing to things. I know a lot of creators, not a lot. I know a few creators who actually bought into the Nebula structure, but they don't actually have a board seat on it, or they don't actually have term sheets with equity. They have shadow equity that means nothing in the greater scheme of things, and it's a problem. I've also had some like bad. When I first started like sniffing around this stuff, I asked the CEO, Dave Wiskus, about it, and he blocked me on Twitter. This was years ago. And I sort of had some. He was just kind of rude to me on social media. And then Wendover Productions was kind of horrendous to me. He was just kind of an asshole when I asked him about it, because he made a whole video about it. He made a whole video about it that actually pumped it. He didn't realize it was doing it, but it pumped the Curiosity Stream stock, because he claimed that Nebula was worth $100 million or something, and then Curiosity Stream owns a portion of Nebula. So then people had invested more into Curiosity Stream, thinking that that was actually part of their ownership, and it was undervalued, when in fact it wasn't. Anyway, yeah, it's these are things that would be like that. The Curiosity Stream thing would be it's like a great story to tell somebody when you're driving really far in the car or something. But like in terms of, because I actually shorted Curie, the stock, when that happened. It's like one of those things but it's just such a boring video, because barely anybody even knows what Curiosity Stream is anymore. So no, I would love. But here's the thing. I love the idea of Nebula. I really do love the idea of a bunch of creators coming together to create their own video platform as an alternative to something like YouTube. What I don't love is that 50% of Nebula is owned by a marketing agency, essentially. Like Standard LLC is a marketing agency. And so from my perspective, even if all of that shadow equity stuff didn't exist, from my perspective, if somebody said, like the thing is if I were to be onboarded onto Nebula, the deal is that they're going to negotiate with advertisers for my channel, for my ad reads, for my 60-second VPN or 90-second BetterHelp or whatever it is. And I don't like those. I don't like doing them, because I'm fucking stupid, and I guess I hate making a lot of money. So I have to, so I sit here and complain like a old man. Yeah, so that's my Nebula rant. But a lot of people say that about Nebula. A lot of people ask me that, so that's why I'm giving you such a long answer. Maybe I could just link back to this stream and say, hey, I answered that. With a freshly shaven face from a barber shop. I just want good YouTube back. I'd even get premium if it wasn't going down more day. Once I got premium, I couldn't go back. I can't, like, literally, speaking of the bar, I was just at a barber shop today, and they were showing me the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime thing. And it's what you would imagine from an Atlanta barbershop, essentially. But it's like very, I don't fit in. But but it's great. It's amazing. I love them. They were showing me the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl thing, and then it was just like every 3 minutes a new fucking ad came on, and I was just like, oh God, I forgot that people have to deal with this. Like, yeah. Analog Weapon says, if I ever have to read an ad, I don't know, I couldn't do it. Yeah, right now, here's a good example, right? I did one for Ground News in my Twitter bot video that came out in November. That I ended up giving all the money to Ukraine, to UNICEF Ukraine's Children Fund, right? It was a lot of money, a lot. Like you could buy a small hatchback new, like a cheap new car, like a lower end model new car. Money. It was really good. And I used Ground News. I had already used I'd used Ground News for about a year before even opening their email and paying any attention to it. And that video was going over time, and I felt like it made sense at the time. People still got angry. Some people got like bitchy about it, which is hilarious to me because it's like any other YouTube video is like nonstop, like literally the beginning of the video. It's like, hey, today we're going to talk about this. It's brought to you by, you know, man wipes or dude wipes or whatever. And so there's another one. There's a astronomy YouTuber. I don't want to spoil it, and I don't want to like out the person, or you know, I don't want to like spoil the plans for them or myself. But there's an astronomy YouTuber that I really like, and they don't have that many subs. They, you know, they're maybe not making a total living off of their channel income, and probably not. And so, like, a great example is I'm trying to do something where they help me with astrophotography because that's their expertise, and like. It's like I could pay them the minimum to like fly them out and like give them a day rate, or I could pay them really well if I just read a Ground News ad at the end of the thing. You know. Yeah. Yeah, analog weapon, that's a good point. That you ended up getting it. Another thing that really sucks about ads is that well, there's a lot of things that suck. I mean, this could be a fucking 8-hour stream. But the two things that still put me at pause, even if I really like the company, is one, you don't know if Ground News is ever going to do something wrong, right? They might get bought out by Rupert Murdoch or some bullshit and turn into like a complete nonsense platform. And then you could go back and look at my ad for it, right? I think, so one thing I always do is I say, okay, if you're going to pay me, like rather than, like most YouTube channels, there's people that will approach you and just say, we'll give you $3,000 to read this ad. We'll give you $7,000 to read this ad. I negotiate a CPM. And in that CPM, which is basically almost like per view, you could just look at it as like a per view rate. And I negotiate a CPM, and I don't, and like I have minimums and maximums in that. And I mean, literally, the work that went into like negotiating this ad was probably 100 emails back and forth. It was really crazy. And then the other end is I want to be released from it. I want to be able to go back into YouTube and delete the ad if I want. So, so I think after a year, I can delete the ad. That's like really important because, I mean, my God, imagine if I could think of like so many companies where if you wrote an ad or if you read an ad for it, and then 2 years later, the company does something utterly fucking atrocious. Now, you know, you look like an asshole, and people, and of course, people on the internet don't understand the concept of linear time, so they'll yell at you for the thing that you did before you knew that they were, you know. I say this as somebody who had owned a Tesla. The second thing, and this one really rubs me the wrong way. It's not as lucid, but every now and then, like this happened with the Ground News thing, a few people said, hey, I really love your content. I really love it. I signed up for Ground News. And I'm like, what? Like, don't do that as a favor to me. I get paid. If you see it, I get paid. It doesn't, but I get it if there's like an affiliate, but like, oh, I fucking hate that. It's like, sign up for my Patreon or just watch my shit and don't pay me at all. But like, please don't pair a brand to me and think you're doing me a favor, because that makes me feel so fucking gross. It makes me nauseated just to think about it. Like, and I love Ground News. Like, it's the best sponsor I've had in this channel's history, aside from, companies that are just like, here, we'll pay for your trip across the country if you just make some music. Yeah, but yeah, Robinhood. Yeah, that's a great example. A lot of people did ads for Robinhood. Yeah. Or BetterHelp. Is BetterHelp like now known as a garbage fucking platform? Have we all agreed on that yet? I remember early on when people were telling me about it, I knew some people like during the pandemic who were using it and stuff, and and I was just like, no. Please, you do not want tech becoming a middleman in fucking mental health care. Like, there's nothing good that could ever come from that. And what do you know? Turns out that it was a giant disgusting thing. Yeah, Analog Weapon. I'm that's awesome that you bought a Tesla. I'm sure you'll really love it. Oh yeah, honey. Oh God, that's one too now. The honey thing. Holy shit. My God, now that I'm thinking about honey, the balls on them. The balls. For anybody who doesn't know what happened with honey, they so honey is like if you remember, it was like the browser extension where you could it would just find coupons and then automatically try a bunch of coupons. And I had installed it very quickly, like early on in the early days. I was like, okay, why not? If I'm getting a coupon, this is a good thing. And then I think I was like buying vape juice or some bullshit, like something from like a little mom and pop vape shop ages ago. And I just saw it trying all these goddamn coupons. And I was just like, this is just psychotic. This is just weird. And it would be one thing on Walmart, but like, this is literally like, a grandma and grandpa who like mix vape juice and sell cartomizers or whatever at the time. And so I uninstalled it because it was just weird. So PayPal ended up buying it. And what they ended up doing is capturing all of the affiliate links. So for example, if I said, hey, this video is brought to you by Perfect Circuit and Zounds. Buy this gear from them and I'll get a little bit of a cut. And I've done that deal so many times where I've been like, so many of my gear videos have affiliate links because like they'll lend it to me or something, or sometimes I'll get it for free, or I get it for cost. And so yeah, so it'd be as if I did that and I said, and get this, and hopefully I'll make the money back that I bought it for in cost if enough people buy it through my affiliate link. And Honey and PayPal captured the fucking affiliate links for themselves. So like, oh my God, that's one of those things where like, I don't know if it happened to me. Like, I don't actually know if it affected me if like somebody had the Honey extension on and tried to click an affiliate link from one of my videos. But like, it's one of those things where if I knew it was happening, or if it was happening at a massive scale, like, I don't know how I would stop myself from like waiting in the parking lot of wherever those executives work and just beating the fuck out of them with a crowbar. Like how do you stop yourself from reacting that way when somebody does something that fucked up and terrible? In general, as a business plan, here's our business. Like, imagine that meeting, sitting down at a long table and be like, I got an idea. We're just going to steal everybody's affiliate money. It's going to be great. Holy shit. Yeah, that one was absolutely amazing. Goddamn. Cryolot says it's 2025 at this point. I assume that every company with a stock ticker is probably guilty of at least war crimes. Man. Wait till you see my next video. what am I now? I don't know when I'm actually going to film it, but the video I'm researching and writing is on macroeconomics and about what I think is going to happen in the next couple of years in the economy. And I'll tell you something. I miss profits. I'm like, obviously, like from a macroeconomic level, from a society level, I miss profits. I miss when a company, like it's sad to say now, because I remember 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I would just think to myself, like, all these companies care about is their bottom line and their profit margin. They're going to pay the labor less, and they're going to charge as much as they possibly can, and they're going to extract profit out of every last thing. That's not happening anymore. I wish it was. That's how fucked up things are now, because it's not even about money anymore. It's about ownership. Little sneak preview of things, but like, private equity is buying fucking everything and then renting it back to people, and it's not about profit. It's just about rampant growth and not profiting, so you don't have to pay taxes, because money doesn't mean as much as it used to. Scary stuff. Actually, literally scary stuff. Terrifying stuff. If you have a 401k or something, oh my God, it's terrifying. What a fun world we live in. Patrick Boyle, I talk to him on a daily basis nowadays. I met him in Houston, and then, just talked to him before coming on this stream, between streams. Patrick's a wonderful person. I love him. I would love to make a video with him. I don't know what we would make a video about. Maybe if there's ever like maybe like a streaming economy video would be good to make with Patrick. Something like that. I would rather him. He's so knowledgeable about economics. Just yesterday, I asked him a question about something with some specific thing about China and global trade, and his answer was so fucking knowledgeable that I actually had that thought. Where it's like, if I ever make a video with him, it has to be in my zone, because he's so knowledgeable that I can't compete. like there's no point in me making a video about like any sort of economic thing with him, because he's so knowledgeable about it. And that's a good thing. I mean, I'm not obviously I'm complimenting him. I'm not calling myself a dumbass. He's just that knowledgeable about economics. He's brilliant. But if you don't know Patrick Boyle's channel or podcast, definitely check it out. It's incredible stuff. Really good, very dry, hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Like every one of his, I typically listen to his podcasts more than I watch his videos, just because it's like something I listen to in the car. And like every single one, there's one point where I'm like laughing out loud, you know, and he never breaks character. It's really great. Yeah. Jason says, I'm 47 and retirement is a fucking pipe dream. Yeah, it is. I also don't know what retirement even means. I've never lived that way. Like I don't have kids. I want to be in debt when I die, which is like kind of one of those things that like you never hear people say in America. Like people are always like, oh, I want to have a legacy and I want to have a nest egg. No, I want to be in debt. I want to like when if I'm 65, I'm going to like come up with a business plan and I'm going to borrow a bunch of fucking money and then go to Australia or something. and then I'm going to spend that and I'm going to borrow money in Australia as well. And I'm going to die, hopefully, with like $1 million in debt and nobody that they could go after for it. Because like, why else would you? Isn't that what you want to do? Don't you want to die like in an advantageous way with a bunch of money you didn't earn? Right? Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to have that luxury though, given the economy now. I don't know if there's going to be an economy that'll lend somebody money for a small business that they could then move to the other part of the world and evade. But yeah, that's my plan. You should think about it, Jason. Think about it. Just go in debt. Unless you have kids. If you have kids, it's great that you have kids. It's wonderful that you have kids, but it really sucks if you want to have a plan like that where you're just going to be a garbage human being and die in debt on purpose. Totally a Zombie asks, wouldn't that debt go to somebody in your family? Nope. No, it would not. That's the beauty of it. The funny thing about it is that, and I say this as somebody who a year ago had a family member die, who had some medical bills and random. He was in hospice care and stuff. They make it look like, and all of his bills were eventually paid through his money that he had after he died. But they will try very hard to make it seem like it's your debt. For example, if you have a parent or a spouse or something, well, it depends on, spouse is a little different. It depends on like if the account is coming out of, if you have a joint account and stuff like that. But a lot of people, for example, their parents die and they die in horrendous medical debt. They cost $100,000 the last 2 weeks of their life, some shit like that. And then, of course, these fucking bill companies come after the children, saying, "Oh, you gotta pay. You got your money from them. You gotta pay their debts, though." No, you don't. You actually don't. If it comes out of their, if they have a bunch of money in their account or something like that, there are ways that they can get it. But if it already gets transferred to the kids, you don't have to pay it anymore. That there was some sort of law preventing them from. I remember seeing this in the news. I don't know what it is now, but there was some sort of law drafted. I don't know if it passed, preventing them from even trying to get it, because it is kind of fraud to like make people believe that they owe money that they don't. But yeah. Analog Weapon says, maybe I can legally disown my kid, like just on paper. Yeah. Or entirely, like go full Elon Musk. Just like have a bunch of kids and just disown them. Unless you need some sort of protection from sniper fire, which apparently is the new thing. Like if you just hold your kid up here, whoever blows your head off will look like a complete asshole and won't get the reception that Luigi got. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I just got health insurance, very bad health insurance. I went 2 months without it due to Georgia being taken off of the federal healthcare.gov thing. Anybody who is an independent contractor, you understand how fucked it is to get healthcare. And so I thought I was not going to have healthcare for like the year, right? And man, I just thought to myself, well, if I have a heart attack and go to the hospital, I'm just not going to pay my bills. It doesn't affect my credit score. Like, I don't even think debt collectors can call you over it. So I'll just tell them to fuck off. And I kind of searched around, saying like, what could they really do? And I couldn't find a solid answer. It's like one of those things I would have to hire a lawyer for. But I was just like, yeah, I'll just do that. But then what happened to me? I had some sort of issue. I don't remember what it was. Something was wrong with me like 3 weeks ago. Nothing terrible, but something where I was like, ooh, I should go to the doctor. Like I don't remember what it was. Whatever it was. I was like, ooh, I should see a doctor before I go on my trip. And then I realized that without health insurance, and it ended up getting better. Whatever it was, I didn't go to the doctor, but I ended up realizing that, I would have to go to the emergency room. like I have to run up a $3,000 bill for this thing that otherwise out of pocket would cost, $100 or something like that. Okay, so they could garnish wages for medical debt. Really? I know they can take your taxes. That I remember reading, but like, can they, your tax refund? But anybody in my position doesn't get a tax refund. Whew, I wish. Your tax year is your tax month is very different than mine. My tax month is like me being like, I'm gonna have to be cutting beans in half for dinner, and for the rest of the world, it's like, I'm gonna get a new Xbox. I didn't know that they could garnish wages though. I guess they could, yeah. Weird. So it's just sort of separated from your credit report. Huh. Well, good luck garnishing my wages. And I don't I don't have an employer, technically. Yeah, my last employer, like on paper, was Yamaha, but just because of the way that they hire people. Yep. David Farrell says, or Farrell? Farrell. I kind of like Farrell. David Farrell. Anyway, David Farrell says, nope, they cannot garnish wages for medical debt. I bet it depends on the state. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? How will we ever know? You know what? Let's ask fucking Chat GPT or Gemini. Let's ask one of those, and it'll just give us a garbage answer that is completely inaccurate, and then we'll just believe that and you know, fucking wipe out a forest with the energy cost. Oh yeah, they would need a court judgment. Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. When I first thought to myself about this, before I realized that, oh, I could just not pay the bill too, I thought to myself, like, well, I guess if I was like $500,000 in debt with some sort of horrendous illness, hospital bills, something like that, I would just file bankruptcy. Like, I kind of, right now, I kind of don't give a fuck about credit, which is really nice because I own my house. I generally move money around in a way where like yeah, basically I'm just not part of that system anymore, which is really, really nice. But at the same time, it's like, well, what if I do need it at some point? I need to go on Caleb Hammer. That would be a good show. I feel like Caleb Hammer would probably have a stroke if I went on his show. He would probably just be like, wait, what? How are you? Why? So much money comes in and out with me. That's the amount of money that I keep is so low that I could probably qualify for like poverty, but like in terms of like the amount of money that like I net at the end of the year, or but the velocity of money is so fast that it's like, it's utterly insane. It's really stupid. And it's just because, and the reason why is because every single thing that I do in my life, virtually, I can't really think of that many things that I do that aren't literally work, right? Like it's not one of those things where I'm like writing off all these dinners that I'm going to with friends because we mentioned something about business. Like all I literally do is work. So I guess like really only like animals are like the thing that aren't work expenses for the business that comes in and out. Yeah, like, but you know, maybe I'll start a business selling eggs, right? It's probably a good move. I hear my US pals talking about the medical debt, and it makes the 4.5K credit card debt I finished paying off feel like nothing. Yeah. Intender says, my dad passed away last year from cancer and my mom had to sell her house to pay off his medical debt. Yeah, that's fucked. That is fucked. That's horrible. Absolutely. It's tragic. It's tragic. And I say that as a libertarian. I say that it's tragic. Like, out of all the fucking social services that we have, out of all the things that are subsidized in our country, that is the one that has merit, right? Like that is the situation. That is the one, like your mom was in one situation, probably easily the hardest situation that she's ever been in her entire life. And it's the situation that her retaining her own equity in her home is good for the economy. She would have continued paying taxes. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, and it makes no sense on an economic level. Chris Johnson says, I had someone I know that just got divorced for that very reason, so after they died from cancer, they did not have to go into debt. Yeah, that's completely fucking insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense from... I mean, whenever I think about these things, whenever I think about like, not that I have any sort of solution, or not, even if I did, not that it would matter, but I try to take empathy out of my head, right? I don't want to think about the pain. All I want to think about is like the common, who does this help? Who would be the person to fight if this were the case? Like a lot of people think of it as, it's like a fight with capitalism, like that's the healthcare crisis. But I don't believe that. It doesn't actually add up that way. It's sort of like the DEI stuff, where like everybody's trying to, everybody's pulling DEI out of everything. It's like DEI doesn't exist because like capitalists are woke. DEI exists because it increases profit. Guess what? If you're Ford and you have people working for you who are Islamic women and black men and black women from all sorts of different areas. If you have Hispanic people who speak Spanish, if you have all this diverse workforce, guess what? Things work better. People have different perspectives from different cultures. You could communicate with your customers better. You could market better. Sales increase with DEI. There's anything in economics. There's so many goddamn papers for every little idea. Like everything is studied to death due to the amount of the money and volume that comes with studying it. Right? Research for economics is like there's an unlimited amount of data for like virtually everything. And that's one that has been studied to death, and there's tons of really good sociology and economic studies showing that DEI increases profit. So when we do this, what we've been doing in the last 6 months, it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? like this helps your company. What's going on? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I honestly think if I were to guess what the case was, I think that people like Mark Zuckerberg just believe that it's almost as if, they hire people, they hire economists, they hire people to do these things and set up these systems. And then they hear it ad nauseum from people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and everybody else. And then they say, okay, yeah, maybe it is bullshit. Yeah, we're wasting money on DEI. And then they just sort of make that decision in a very uneducated way. Elon Musk, by the way, Tesla had an amazing DEI program. And I would, if you walk into like a Tesla service center or something like that, like it looks as if they do. Like it is not your average, like they have way more women, way more people of color working than the average car dealership or something like that. It's actually astounding. And, it's like, and they, up until 3 years ago, they had a DEI program that was actually like, they bragged about it. It was incredibly successful. Just weird to me. It's fucking weird to me. It makes no sense. Start reading these comments. It seems like if I'm just reading the chat, it just looks like I'm just staring off into space, thinking of the next thing to say. Yeah, I should just not even acknowledge that there's and people just be like, oh, I think Ben's on methamphetamine. he's just talking to himself in a goddamn computer chair in his hallway. Yeah, I don't know, man. The fucking Nazi thing. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta laugh because it's just in what world does a person on the patriotic side that call themselves a patriot and align themselves with somebody who Sieg Heils when the president when that administration takes it and wins the election? Like what patriot does that? Like the amount of people who died, the amount of Americans who died in World War II, the shit that our country went through in World War II. I mean, just like the transformation that our country went through in World War II is astounding. And it's also brilliant. like we were during World War II, we were a communist country pretty much. Like our factories were told what they were making, how much they were making, how many people they were hiring, how much they were going to pay those people. And it worked out really, really well for us through that period of time, balancing capitalism and communism. And then we had a war-torn Europe to sort of become the economic power. But we were brilliant in the way that we handled things economically and, I guess, just in trade and militarily. Like we really came out ahead of that. Not saying we were the saviors. We certainly weren't. We've got to give Russia that one. But that's like when Donald Trump says, "Make America Great Again," most people are thinking of the 50s. Most people are thinking of right as the soldiers got back. Like that's the America that they're thinking of. They're thinking of that prosperity and that freedom for white men. and so to be a fucking Nazi supporter is just what? What are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely crazy to me. I don't know. That's why I can only think. That's why I have. Part of me has to think that it is that it's just a distraction. It's just to keep your eye on the prize, and while something else happens, you know. I thought the same thing. All this shit, the kneeling football player controversy, all this stuff it just gets crazier and crazier without making any sense, and you know it's so we don't get radicalized. It sounds like we're getting radicalized. You know, it sounds like we're getting radicalized when somebody, salutes the SS Army in front of the whole world. Somebody who is an active government leader. But no, it just confuses us. Joe Carter says, this might be biased from a non-American, but MAGA always makes me laugh because in my eyes, America has never been truly great. It has always been flawed in one way or another. Sure, of course. Of course. I think to understand everybody's proud of something different. America to me, what I'm proud of in America has nothing to do with politics. What I'm proud of in America is driving from one side of the country to the other and all of the things you experience, all of the accents, all of the ways of life, all of the ethnicities in their own community that has turned into its own not sub-ethnicity, but like subculture. The amount of subcultures from coast to coast is insane. And there's so many amazing stories, and there's so many weird, and a lot of that is the overall feeling that Americans have, whether they have it or not. You could argue that they don't, but the overall feeling of an enablement of freedom, right? Americans feel free, and so they do things that are a little bit weirder and a little bit riskier than most other countries. A close friend of mine, who moved here from Northern Ireland, said, and moved here to start a company. And his example was, in Northern Ireland, if somebody said, "I want to start a mobile dog washing business," they would be laughed at. Like they would be made fun of. And in America, if you said, "I want to start a mobile dog washing business," people would ask if they could invest, which is true. That's kind of how it is. And so I think that's where I defend America, where it's like, even, and this is going to be controversial. I'm about to say something that's going to piss people off if you're not American. When I have spent time in England, and remember, I had a British wife, I feel like there's definitely, like, they're a couple of years behind in terms of like for example, and I still am like a member of some like Facebook groups for like towns and football leagues and stuff like that, soccer leagues, in England. And like you'll still see shit where people are like, why can't, like white people being like, why can't I say the N-word? I don't understand. Like that conversation doesn't happen here anymore. And especially with just the cultural norms that women have, like the freedoms that women have here, which are still very limited in a lot of ways and getting worse as if you look at everything that's happened with the Supreme Court and stuff. But it's almost as if just the social vibe of like it seems more appropriate, and I could be wrong. This could just be like my scope of what I've seen, which is large, but like it could just be that. But it seems like in a lot of places in Europe, there's still a valid argument to be uncomfortable with your wife and mother of your children having a job or a career. Like, and in America, that's uncalled for. That's like, nope, you're getting canceled. You know, like in America, that's like absolutely uncalled for. I feel like at least in a lot of parts, maybe not in London, but in a lot of parts of England, that's still kind of like, you still hear about that. And it makes sense though, because like, you know, look at what happened with women's rights in the 70s here. Like it's pretty, it's just like more the cultural bomb of that happening. And civil rights is like, it's like the epicenter of where that bomb exploded is here. And so maybe it's just on our consciousness more. I don't know how to describe it. It sounds like I'm definitely not saying anything bad about European countries. Like, y'all have many things that we don't, and we are all very jealous. And you could this conversation started talking about healthcare debt. So you could start there. I would, I've considered moving to Europe plenty of times, and I don't plan on dying in America. So trust me, I will be on your side. I'm going to read this chat, but I don't want to. I hope I didn't piss anybody off. Yeah. Coast to coast in the U.S. is about 4,000 kilometers. That's about the same distance from the coast of Portugal to Moscow. Yeah. It's massive. It's massive, and I love it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, generally in bigger, more metropolitan cities in both the UK and Europe, it's similar to the US. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's. Analog Weapon says, yeah, I've argued with non-Americans a lot about how America is actually more progressed in general for those things. We're actually confronting things and there are more buried in Euroculture. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the overall tolerance level, even though we have Donald Trump, even though we have like all these fucking terrible things happening in government, it's like the sign for America is all fucked up, but the root of it is these things are socially unacceptable. A lot of these things are socially unacceptable. A white person saying the N-word in public is like fucking dangerous. It's like actually dangerous. And it's dangerous not only because like, and I'm not, and it would be dangerous in an all white, you know, if you're in an all white area, it could be dangerous. And it's not only dangerous for the reason that somebody might bash a bottle over your head, or lay you out, but it's dangerous because every single person, when you called the police, every single person would say that you threw the first punch. You know, like, I mean, it's that ostracizable. And maybe, like I said, it's just because that bomb exploded here decades ago, and so people just understand the significance a little bit better. I'm not really sure, but it's weird because at the same time you look and it seems like we're a less progressive country, and politically, in a lot of ways, we are. I see the occasional Twitch person. One of my 9 or 10 Twitch followers. Welcome. Yeah. Sorry, reading these chats. Intender says the N-word depends on where you live. Honestly, I hear it a few times a month where I live in North Carolina. Yeah, I get. You know where I heard it the most? Weirdly, like from white people, where was Chicago. Like Chicago's super segregated, super racist. Like it. I don't know if it still is. I don't know how bad it is now because it's obviously been a long time. But yeah, I mean, we even when I had the nonprofit school, like one of the parents, like one day sat down. I was just sitting in the lobby of the school. It was the school that I ran, and one of the parents sat down and just dropped the N-bomb on me, just talking about some car robbery or something, and I had to had to have a very uncomfortable confrontation, like. But but I mean, I've also had a lot of European people come here on tour and just say the N-word until you had to be like, hey, no, you can't do that here. Like it's not acceptable. Yeah, yeah, and it is one of those things. Like the people that do say it, they're like whispering it and looking over their shoulders. It's like at the very least, it's like they have to pay that toll. They have to be like, oh fuck, I don't want to get my ass kicked right now. I don't want to get stabbed by some woke person. My grandpa unironically said it once, and I just stared at him like, bro, you cannot say that. Yeah, yeah. With people that are older, you just kind of give up. Like my grandma was racist till she died, and it's like, and she raised me, but I mean, it was just like, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because we treat it the way that everybody looks at. You're not going to change them now. They're 70. Let them die stupid. It's just kind of a funny thing that we do where we're just like the you can't teach an old dog new tricks type of mentality. Like old people are just fucking disabled or something, and they can't like understand the concept of equality anymore. Like their brain just rots, that part of their brain rots out or something. When like clearly that's not the case. And if we didn't think that way, we'd probably, if we didn't think that way, fucking Kamala would probably be president because it seems like Fox News understands that you could change an old person's mind to be less progressive. Yeah, it's kind of funny to think that way. Like, yeah, as long as they could still vote or be president, apparently, as long as they could vote or be president, they're still maybe worth saving. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you want to hear because I've been doing this stream for hours at this point. I'll tell you one funny one. That's not funny. It's just it's an interesting story, right? So my grandma was super racist, just white woman in South Chicago, Polish white woman in South Chicago, and she very racist. And when my grandfather, my step grandpa, these are my step grandpa and my grandma were part of my immediate family growing up. They're part of who raised me. And my step grandpa had a long battle. He had multiple battles with cancer, but his final battle with cancer, he was in bed, and I saw him every single day. I was older. I was like 20, 21 at the time, and he had like a long battle, and a lot of it was just laying in bed, unable to really move, but he could still talk. I mean, it was really it was brutal, and we had to get a caretaker for him, and my grandma's idea of a caretaker was like some white nurse that came over, and said, "Hello, ma'am, how are you?" And guess what? No, that's not a thing. They either don't speak English or they're people of color. Those are like your two options. And so my grandma was like looking for a Polish woman because my grandma speaks a little bit of Polish, spoke a little bit of Polish, and she couldn't find anyone. And the entire time I am just like, Grandma, this is 2001, well, probably 2001. I'm like, Grandma, like, you need to drop this. This is ridiculous. You're letting your husband suffer. You're letting Grandpa suffer because because you're scared to let a black person in the house. It's fucking insane. Like, what do you know? And I finally just got her to agree that we would hire, a person of color to care after my grandfather. And so we did. And it was this woman named Sharon. And she went back into the bedroom and was like, "Oh my God, absolutely not. No way. We're not doing this." And, I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Absolutely not. Hell no. No way." And lifts my grandpa out of bed, but puts a catheter in, lifts him out of bed, wheels him out into the living room. And and he's happy. And he's like, and it's like all these things that she just saw it and she realized that this is wrong. No, we need to bring him around. We need to bring him into different rooms. We need to turn on the TV. He's literally laying in bed, And so immediately my grandma was just joyous. She was like, "Oh my God." And she told me, she's like, my grandma's not the type of person to admit guilt or admit fault ever. She was an infallible person in her head. She told me, she was like, "I feel terrible. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe that I was so ignorant to do this. I just feel so dumb. We could have done this 4 months ago." And he suffered so much more than he had to. And I'm like, "I know, it's okay. You didn't know, now now it's fine, this and that." And then a few days later, well, maybe a week later, Sharon didn't show up again and just never showed up. And then all the checks were stolen. And Sharon was a big woman, was a big black woman. And the checks were stolen and the account was drained. The checking account that she got her hands on was drained at Elaine Bryant, which, if you know what that is, it's a store for big women. So it was and it was Elaine Bryant that was literally a mile from her apartment on the other side of town. So it's the most ridiculous, cruel coincidence that, and then of course my grandma immediately reverted back to her old ways. But it's just I just, I was like, I wish that I could have just caught her doing it and been like, "You don't understand what you've done here. You don't understand the transformation taking place in this fucking old racist woman that I've lived with for 21 years. And please don't do this. I will pay you to not do it." But yeah. My racist grandmother was not correct. She was just, she was just, look, an analog clock is right twice a day, right? Even if it's broken. So, yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, that was reverse karma. But I'm not saying she was right. She was yeah, I mean, obviously it was just the worst possible time that somebody could commit a crime like that. And it was the dumbest crime in the world. I mean, it was one of those things. 'Cause here's the heartbreaking part about it is that when the account first got drained, my grandma couldn't believe it. She didn't think it was Sharon. That's the crazy part. I think the moral of the story is how little it took to change her opinion. That's why I'm telling this in the first place, because we treat old people as if they can't be changed. But she was changed until she got changed back due to the story. But yeah, of course it's not the norm. That's sort of the thing too. Is it was just the most obvious, hilariously dumb crime, and it made no sense because this person was such a good nurse too. Or it's just you could have made more staying in nursing for, I'm sure she lost her job, and it was dumb. But yep, that is the story of life. Now I feel like I should tell a story about a white person robbing something, but I have a good one, but it's long and it's probably has nothing to do with anything else. But yes, the solution is to steal things from Lane Bryant, as Gerald says. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe the moral of the story is take your, if you have racist white grandparents, uh, take them to a black neighborhood and just let them out. Just leave them there. Pick them up the next day. They'll probably be fine. You know, realistically, they probably would. That probably would be useful. Like, honestly, like, you'd be a complete asshole to do it. To just be like, leaving old people anywhere is a bad, you don't leave them anywhere. But that probably, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Just having grown up in an area that was primarily people of color and living in one now, I like, people are much more helpful in terms of things like that. They'd be like, do you need something? Are you okay? Whereas like, I feel like in all white neighborhoods, it's very like, ooh, what's that person doing? Oh, they look mentally ill. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah. Take them to Vancouver. Lots of variety there, and everyone I met there is kind. Joe Carter says, does this white person robbing story go back several centuries to the beginning of the U.S.? No, I'll tell you very quick. Okay, before I leave, I'll tell you my white robbery story. The reason I don't want to tell it is because it tells a little bit too much about me, but I'm okay with it. So I grew up in a neighborhood that I grew up literally next to a crack house, right? Not the entire time when I lived in my house. Crack houses tend to move around a bit, but for a few years, it was like the most popular crack house in the neighborhood, right next to me. So when I was a kid, I could just wake up, buy some crack, smoke it. No, I didn't buy any from them. And in fact, the person who lived there, it was sort of like run by a kid who was like in his probably 19 or something like that, and then his mom lived there, but he was making all the money through his gang and the crack sales, and he got beaten to death in the woods. It was like fucking brutal. Anyway, this story goes to not better places, but it goes to it's not as tragic as that. So I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of crack houses. There was like a big sort of crack Walmart type of crack house in a neighborhood near where I lived, and everybody knew about it. And so at one point in my life, when I think I was about 17, I was a telemarketer. And for a very brief time, for Olin Mills Portrait Studio, which was like one of those places where you like bring your family and take like graduation pictures, Christmas pictures, whatever. You have a new baby, put the baby on a, fucking piece of cotton that looks like a cloud in front of a blue screen, whatever. So I was I called people and I said, hey, we have a special going on where you get all these prints for this amount of money, and you get it was a free portrait, and then you could buy the print packages or whatever. And I kind of hated it, but I needed the money. And so we had this manager named Christy, and Christy was this big white woman from Tennessee, which was like unusual for me in Chicago. It's like an unusual accent. Like having somebody who talks like this in Chicago's already fucking weird. But she was very jolly. She was very funny. She was very loud. Like she was actually a really good manager. She was very motivating in a way where like everybody had fun working there. It was this kind of ridiculous. Like everybody there was like kind of a loser, me especially. And by loser, I mean like everybody there was like, like smoking weed outside, or like had just gotten out of prison or some shit like that. And so it was already this kind of like weird crowd. So Christy, one day I made a joke about crack. I don't remember what, and it's like I taught her a new word or something. Like she said something like, yeah, we should smoke crack. And I was like, yeah, man, get those boulders. And then it's like she heard that, and then she like picked up on it, and then she riffed on that joke with me all the time. Like she'd walk by me and be like, "Hey, Ben, we gonna get some crack later?" And I'd be like, "Yep, we're gonna get a 10-piece." And like, yeah. And so that was just sort of the weird relationship that I had with my boss at the time. And it wasn't really that funny, but I wasn't like offended by it, but I just went along with it because whatever, what am I going to do? Be like, stop talking about crack. So one day she calls me and she's like, "Hey, Ben, you got some rocks?" And I'm like, "Haha, hey, Chrissy, what's up?" And she's like, "No, seriously, you got some rocks?" And I'm like, "Nah, yeah, what?" And she's like, "No, Ben, seriously, do you know where I could get some rocks?" And I'm like, and it's my boss. So I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but you can't go. And like, I have to go with you. Like, you're not going to be able to just roll up there. Like, like like I don't have the address, And so I'll move this story a little bit faster. So I went with her to go buy crack, and they think she's a cop. They're just like, no fucking way this bitch in her Trans Am is like, actually is, and so they were just like, "No, we don't got any." And so she pulls down her shirt. She's like, "Would a cop do this?" And shows them her breasts. and I'm just like, I can't believe what's going to happen. So we end up getting robbed, which we deserved 100%. I mean, so we ended up getting robbed at gunpoint in the car. And it was one of those, like, I fucking told you so. I'm stupid for even getting in the car. I should have just quit. I'm not even looking at the chat right now. I'm just straight at the camera, pretending that I'm like talking to an old friend. And then there's just like a wild night. Like the next day I go to work and everything's gone. There's literally, it's like a scene out of a movie. Like there's fucking like cables hanging out of the wall where the phones used to be. Like all the phones are gone, the computers, the coffee machine, every last thing is stolen out of there, and it looks like a fucking backrooms level, just like a stained carpet and like the ceiling panels and shit, and she just took it all and went to Tennessee, and that was it, and then I remember being like asked, going into like the photo studio area up there and being like, "Hey, so you don't have a telemarketing department right now? What should we do?" And they're like, "We're probably just not going to buy it again, buy all the stuff. So I guess you're fired." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." So that was the end of my telemarketing job. But, yep. Intender says, Ben's first job was talking to strangers while wearing a headset. He has come full. That was definitely not my first job. My first job I had when I was 13. I'm one of those fucking people who's like, "I was working when I was in 8th grade." Ridiculous. I was a busboy when I was 14. Yeah. We didn't have much money. I lived in one of those kids need to work. Kids need to work earn their way families. But anyway, Christy, if you're watching this, hope you got your crack. I hope it worked out. And I hope you ended up not. Yeah, I assume if Christy didn't stop smoking crack, she's not watching this. I assume she died a long time ago. But hopefully she got that one. I hope she took that and she pawned all the stuff for like $50 or whatever it was worth, and then said, "You know what? I'm gonna go to rehab." And if she didn't do that, I would be an amazingly successful telemarketer with like 25 years of experience now. It would be amazing. You know what? Honestly, true story. This isn't a long one. Korg, not the Triton, a different. God, what was the name? Now I'm gonna have to find this out. But one of the Korg workstations, one of the big ones in the late 90s, in like 1997, 1998. I bought off a desperate crackhead, and I mean, straight up, he came to my house. He was a friend's brother. And he came to my house, like, you know, she introduced me to him because he was, like, trying to make hip-hop or something, or trying to make beats. And, yeah, one day he just calls me up and he's just like, yo, man, do you want to, or pages me. And he's like, yo, man, do you want to buy the Korg? And I'm like, I don't have any money. And I end up getting it for like $50 or something. And this dude came over holding this keyboard, just like, you know, all scratching and just like, yeah, sadly enough, that's the one of the conditions and how I ended up becoming an electronic musician, because that really, yeah, that's like a lot of my original music that first was on like local labels and stuff was just on crackhead gear. Yeah, there was a lot of crack. But by the way, yeah, everybody should know this. In South Chicago in the 1990s, there was a fuckload of crack. There's a lot of it. And another thing that happened is I had smoked crack once when I was like sophomore in high school. And I actually did. I'm so lucky because I was one of those people who like actually hated it. I was just like, I don't, this makes me feel terrible. I don't like it. I'm dizzy. I feel gross. And I never did it again. And the thing is that there wasn't a big stigma on it. There wasn't a stigma like there is now. Like, we make jokes about crack. I just made a big joke, I just made a joke today about RFK's research advisory team being a crack pipe. Like, we make jokes all the time about it. But it didn't have that level of like public scrutiny then. It was like a problem. It was a drug. It was a hard drug, but it would be more like somebody doing coke now, I guess, right? Maybe even something different. Like, 'cause coke even kind of has this bad rap. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, in the last month, I have been around somebody doing cocaine who is a person I respect. I don't like it. I don't do it. But like, there was no stigma. It was just like, oh, they're taking this substance because they're getting high. And crack was kind of like that. And crack was also such a big economic factor in South Chicago. Like, so many people sold crack, imported crack, and smoked crack that like you were around it so much that you kind of didn't have the same sort of, I don't know, I guess it's just like you look down on people who smoke crack. Well, I guess you should look down on somebody who's like addicted to a substance, because you don't want to be like that, right? So I guess in a weird way, you're looking down on them. I'm not saying treat them poorly, but like, we all sort of look at that as like, ooh, we don't want to be like that. But I don't know. Anyway, point being is it wasn't as, you weren't ostracized for smoking crack. However, the one time I smoked it, I had a girlfriend, and she was from the suburbs, and she called me and was like, were you smoking crack? I heard you smoked crack. And I was like, so what? She was like, no, like, hey, I don't want a boyfriend who's going to smoke crack. And I was like, well, fuck you then. Like, you know, I treated it as if like, you know, I had like smoked a cigarette or something, you know, like I'm going to do whatever I want. I'll smoke crack if I want. You can't tell me what to do, even though I didn't even want to do it. I was just like, you know, and that's why I'm a libertarian. Nobody can tell me not to smoke crack. I'll even break up with my hot girlfriend that I had at the time. But yeah, no, now Chicago's all fucking heroin and methadone, unfortunately. So yeah, what used to be people scratching themselves and selling cheap gear now is like people standing around half asleep in the street. It sucks. It's tragic. Wow. Analog Weapon says, fortunately, the stigma was strong enough in rural Wisconsin. Tried it once as a kid and liked it, but the stigma kept young me away. That's great. Any difference to Adderall? What do you mean? What do you mean any difference to Adderall? Is heroin or methadone different than Adderall? Like, do you want me to like get a whiteboard and draw out the molecular structures, or like what's the? Yeah, incredibly different. In fact, since I made a whole video about ADHD drugs, I'll tell you something. I've not needed to refill my subscription because I kind of figured out that it's good to take when I have a lot of meetings, socially, things like that. Otherwise, I don't really need it. I don't have withdrawals from not taking it. Yeah, I mean, it's not anything like it, like heroin is. Or, you know, it's like, even comparing those two things is incredibly wrong. And sorry to call you out or disagree, but like, yeah, completely different things. Of course, if you abuse Adderall and take tons of it, you could have withdrawal effects from not taking it, but they're nothing like the withdrawal effects from not from quitting opiates or something like that. And I was prescribed Klonopin for a decade, a daily dose of Klonopin, and I quit that last year, and that fucking sucked. And nothing like it. I mean, Adderall's nothing like that. It's not even close. Thankfully, that would be terrible. Adderall won't kill you as quickly. I mean, does heroin kill you? Like realistically, somebody who's just taking opiates, right? Just because they're like if Elon Musk were a heroin addict, how bad for his health is it, right? Think about that. Like if he was on a moderated dose that he had like a doctor, he had like paid off a doctor to steal medical grade heroin and give it to him, and he was, shooting it or snorting it. I guess snorting it would be bad. Let's just say he was shooting it with a clean needle under doctor supervision. He knew how strong the dose was every single time. He only needed to maintain his addiction. He wasn't always trying to get it higher. There's a lot of people who are functionally addicted to drugs or alcohol. And they maintain it and they live long lives. It's the thing that's so deadly about heroin is that nobody knows the potency that they're getting. That's the tragic thing. And now, obviously with fentanyl, it's so easy to, just spike some fucking talcum with fentanyl and say it's heroin and mess that up and end up killing people. So, yeah, the honestly, if you could buy heroin at a gas station, I don't know if I would think that was a good idea, but if anybody could go to a clinic right now and say, hey, I want to buy heroin, and they sold it at cost, right? Just how much it costs to keep the clinic open and how much it costs to grow and cultivate heroin, you would prevent a fuckload of deaths. That's just common sense. Like the big problem with heroin, the big thing with the opiate crisis is that nobody knows what they're getting. You just end up, you have to trust people who are importing drugs from people who are untrustworthy. Yeah, even Narcan is for OD. If you never OD, you wouldn't need it, I guess. I've never seen a fit heroin addict, no matter how functional. Yeah, I've never seen a heroin addict who does like fucking, CrossFit. Nobody in the UFC is. Oh, you know what? Matt Brown apparently was addicted to heroin through part of his career. Food for thought. But yeah, no, obviously you're not a beacon of fitness when you're a heroin addict. It's hard to poo when you're a heroin addict. You can't even go to the bathroom properly. But you could sell insurance. You could do a lot of things. It's not. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying that. I'm not recommending it to anybody, obviously. But there's a big difference between a heroin addict and a junkie, there's just massive differences. Both are bad things. But one of those things is somebody who doesn't have the privilege of being a functional addict. One of those things is somebody who has to, buy from the least trustworthy source because that's the only thing they can afford. Matt Brown is a very appropriate name for a heroin addict. Roid, droid, void. You got me there. Many steroid users use opiates. Lots of people got hooked on oxy and graduated to heroin. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to talk because I don't want to tell people stories and shit. But I know plenty of people who literally. I know more people who got addicted to heroin, not just an opiate, heroin, who got addicted to heroin. And their gateway drug was being prescribed opiates for too long. And then $50 of whatever they were prescribed ended up being $2 of heroin. And so they just made the switch. I know more people who got into heroin from that route than people who got into it from like smoking weed and using coke and then graduating to heroin. That's actually quite rare. Yeah, back in the day stream. Yeah, maybe I should just become one of those. Maybe I should just like watch YouTube videos and react to shit and just do that. Probably be easier, wouldn't it? Be a like Hassan, like just a Hassan character, but like older and fucking. I don't know. I don't. From the clips I've seen of Hassan, I don't get it. I don't understand. Caleb asks, "What's your dream synth, either real or imaginary?" You know what? You know what my current dream synth is? Uh, do you know MIDI Noose? MIDI NOUSE. It's software. It's a MIDI sequencer. I did a whole video on it. And that, but it's a table. And you have magnetic arrows. And there's like LEDs under it. And you could make your sequence by moving the magnetic arrows and different objects that do things like split the signal and stuff. And those are MIDI signals. And you can like play a MIDI keyboard on one end, and then it goes through that little sort of choo-choo rocket setup where you can like make the signal do different things and make a physical circuit that ends up being a melody or a rhythm. That's my dream synth. Yeah, you could say you own synth. Just download something. No, it's not, and it's not parasocial. I mean, I'm talking to y'all. I'm not. I wish I had the chat on. It would make more sense for viewers if I had the chat on the screen. I just totally forgot to set it up out here. But yeah, no, it's actually not parasocial. It's social, full duplex. Is that Bridges episode going to come out? I don't know. Man, what a fucking what a fun time that was. Yeah, to anybody who doesn't know, I did 2 Bridges episodes. One was a roundtable with the Libertarian candidate for presidency, who I actually, Chase Oliver, I actually set them up with Chase. Not that I like hang out with Chase all the time or anything, but he's a wonderful person. One of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. He's also very egalitarian. He's very left. I would consider him further left libertarian than any candidate that has run for presidency before. I disagree with him on some things, but he's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And he's a lovely person to be around. Anyway, yeah, I did a Bridges episode with Destiny and Kyla, and then I did the roundtable with them and Chase included in it. And I think the podcasts are out. I think the video has not been edited because then Destiny got caught up in some sort of nude leaking sex tape fucking controversy, some bullshit, which is so funny because so many people were like, you got to do it. And I told them, well, I'll do it, but I'm not going to Miami. You got to come to Atlanta. And I thought they were going to tell me to fuck off because and sure enough, they flew out to Atlanta. They brought the cameras, the lights, the microphones. I was just like, okay, let's do it. And it was great. It was honestly, every single person, as much as that side of YouTube or fucking streaming or whatever is controversial. Everybody involved, I had a good conversation with. I enjoyed their company. I don't have a personally bad thing to say about any of them. As for like the allegations with Destiny, I don't know, but I don't know enough. I kind of, it sounds to me like he did something very dumb and I don't know, like unethical. How do you describe it? And it sounds like he's paying the price for it. Sounds like he's getting sued. So whatever, that's not my business. I'm not. I did the podcast before any of that got out, so I don't really know. But yeah, it was fine. It was a good conversation. It didn't even brush up on politics that much. But one thing that I did notice is I feel like that world, like the Hassan Destiny world, that this is going to piss some people off, and I'm sorry, but I feel like that world is, for lack of a better term, I feel like it's very much like WWE. Like, I realized this because a whole bunch of people were like, you gotta go. I don't know where I think Destiny like reacted to one of my videos or something. And then a bunch of people were like, oh my God, you gotta have him on the podcast. And then everybody hit me up and was like, you gotta go on Bridges. You gotta talk to Destiny. You gotta do this. And I had no fucking idea who these people were. Not because they're not significant or whatever, just because I'm in my own universe. And I was just like, why? What's going on? Well, do they want me on there? Whatever. And then everybody was telling them. And then I asked Blue Sky, I think. I was like, should I go? What do you think? Should I do this? Like, is it good? Whatever. And then a bunch of people said, yes, you have to. And then a bunch of people also said, Destiny's a pedophile. He's a pedophile. He abuses children. And a bunch of other crazy things. And I was just like, okay, so y'all are fucking crazy. Like that was my takeaway from that. It's like, everybody's nuts. Like this is totally nuts. And so, I have them, they came to Atlanta, they came here, did it in my living room. And it was fine. It was totally normal. It was a good conversation. No drama, no craziness. And then while I'm on my trip to NAM, I'm driving across the country, I get a ton of messages calling me like an enabler of rape and pedophilia. From like people watching these fucking, and I just realized like, and then a bunch of people are like, oh, people saying that are just from Hassan. Like the Hassan people come over and attack Destiny, and oh no, those people are from H3 Productions or whatever. Yeah, like those people are from H3 or whatever it's called. And I realized, oh, this is WWE. This is literally this is WWE, but instead of fighting, we're just playing video games and watching other people's videos. This is a soap opera. That's it. And in a weird way, I kind of respect it now. I didn't get it at first, and it just made no sense to me. But like, it is a deeply parasocial relationship that people have with streamers like that, and they hate them and they love them, and then the streamers get in little arguments and they call each other out and they sabotage each other, and the people watch and they eat popcorn, and fucking Twitch and Kick make millions of dollars. That's the end of it, and it all makes sense now. And if you look at it through that lens, it's like, oh, got it. This is all entertainment. And yeah, I mean, whatever. There's obviously, with whatever happened with Destiny, there's obviously victims involved there, and that's fucking terrible. But that, unfortunately, that just feeds into everything that. So I don't know. Bridges definitely was not like that. It didn't seem like that at all. It seemed like they were actively trying to get away from that type of content, probably for the reason why he got I don't know. I don't think he got canceled, but whatever, for the reason he got in trouble. Yep. The only thing I know about Hassan, like the only time I ever saw, a bunch of people told me that he was reacting to one of my videos, And I said, oh, I remember hearing about that guy. Okay, I remember this guy's popular. And I ended up watching it, and he was like this. And my video was playing, and then he was talking about something else throughout half the video. And then he got up and left. I left the fucking screen and left my video on. And I thought to myself, like, hey, asshole, like, why don't you just link to my fucking video so people could watch it and I could actually get the ad revenue from it? Like, you're just literally, like, reappropriating my content for your platform where you're getting paid a fuckload more than I'm getting paid. But that was it. And I didn't understand. I was like, why are people watching this guy talk over someone else's video? That's the hardest thing to deal with reaction content. Even if it's like people who I've met personally, like Weaver Beats or something, the hardest thing to deal with, I don't care if somebody like calls me, says I'm wrong, calls me a name. None of that matters. I don't give a fuck. I enjoy it. It gives me energy. The thing that drives me nuts is I'll be making a valid point in a video, and then somebody reacting to it, interrupting that valid point, and then they'll say, oh, it's like when you're watching a movie with like your significant other and they talk through a scene, and then they ask you, they say, I don't understand what the fuck's going on in this movie. And you're like, well, if you paid attention to the fucking thing, it's that, but like with thousands of people watching at once. And you're just like, great. Yeah, that's all. But it's silly. What's my favorite commercial music, or least favorite commercial music? I don't have a favorite hold music. My favorite hold music is when they say, please hold, and then no music is played, because then I could like play the piano or something. Nah, I ain't got a copyright claim. I'm no snitch. Yeah, favorite commercial music. Probably Dove Evolution. That ad, whoever made music for that ad, wow, just search Dove Evolution. Look at that, it's brilliant. Whoever made that, bet that person is really well off. Yeah. Whatever. I don't, I feel that the last thing I'll say about that is when you have a channel that like criticizes other people's stuff, but one of the rules of my platform with my videos is not to shit on other creators, right? Like don't shit on other creators. Like shit on companies, shit on governments, shit on the systems that take advantage of creators. But anytime that you could shit on a creator, there's a bigger force at play, that there's a bigger demon to slay, right? Like if you're going to slay a demon, there's bigger ones than creators. And even if it's like a big thing, like, even if it's not like plagiarism or something like that, it's like, nope, this system enables plagiarism and rewards it. So go on up the stairs, slay the boss, not the henchman. But there is a level of karma with that, where if you make, and I've told some creators who make content like this, who make content calling out other creators and sort of reveling in the drama, you're building an audience that is eventually something's going to happen. You're like we talked about 2 hours ago, you do an ad for a company that ends up doing something fucked up, and now you've built this big demographic and audience like that you depend on, who are addicted to calling people out and tearing people down with you. But now they're not with you anymore because now you've done something wrong. And so if I did an ad for BetterHelp 2 years ago, and most of my viewers on YouTube and most of you in this chat would say, well, that was 2 years ago, he didn't know. But, that sucks. That would be your reaction probably. Not so much with some of these channels. And so, I don't give a fuck if people who are obsessed with drama, with YouTube drama and stuff like that, don't like me, or if they think I did something wrong. I don't care, because they're not part of my demographic. I don't rely on them for shit. Like they show up to yell at me about something and then go away. It's my core audience that I care about, and that inspires me to keep making more things. And so, yeah, when you build a core audience of people who are addicted to hating people for things like that, and addicted to being outraged, it's only a matter of time before you're the person that they're outraged at. It's inevitable every single time it happens. But yeah. Anyway, being a Chicago kid, have I watched the interview Billy Corgan did with Tom Morello? No, I did not. I watched the one that he did with Rick Beato, and, and I was just like, fucking, like, this dude, I don't know why. This would be a good reaction video, to be honest. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Billy Corgan, but I watched just part of that interview, and I just thought, this dude has lost his fucking mind. Like, whatever he said about AI was like one of the most ridiculous quotes I've ever heard in my life. Like, it was straight up like, it was like some Terminator 2 shit, like Skynet. Yeah, it was like the most ridiculous quote. There's also a classic, maybe you could find it on YouTube. You got to find this. I hope it's still on YouTube. Billy Corgan did a modular, so he was into modular synth for a while. I don't know if he still is. I doubt it, but he was very into modular synths. And so he decided to do a solo modular show that went on for something like 12 hours. It was like this day-long show, maybe even been 24. And he did it at this cafe in Chicago and set all this shit up in the cafe and made just god-awful fucking noise for a day while people are just trying to drink coffee and talk to like their coworkers and shit. And there's like videos of it, and and it's like Billy Corgan does this like artistic thing, but it's really just like, who is this asshole making fart sounds in the middle of the day in this cafe, this busy cafe in like North Chicago? It's pretty brilliant. You got to watch it. It's yeah. Dude lost his fucking mind a long time ago. And here I say, like, don't hate on creators, but like, yeah, Billy Corgan, I don't think he'll ever have to worry about paying rent. Oh, was it his coffee shop? That makes it even better. It makes it even better. And there's like, 3 or 4 people there from the clips I saw where they're like, they're like Smashing Pumpkins fans who just sort of show up and they're like, oh, that bald guy. All right. He's a fucking phone operator. I'm not sure. Is he patching calls? I'm not sure what he's doing over there. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I can't find the quote, but Steve Albini says something like, yes, the band that if they are opening, then you know that you can show up an hour later. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. It takes balls to do that shit. Takes cojones to set up your modular synth in a cafe and have an hour set. That's something. I wouldn't do it, but because I wouldn't do it probably. Well, I would do it because I ain't taking my modular to a cafe and I ain't setting all that shit up and I don't care enough. But if I did, I wouldn't do it because I'd be scared of being ostracized and laughed at by people like me. So, yeah, I need to have Richard Devine right here on this stream. Next week, I'm going to have Mr. Bill right here on this stream. We're going to be going through we're going to check out the Pulsar. And what else did he? I think he wants to check out some reverb pedals. So Pulsar and reverb. It'll be nice. Maybe I'll have him bring something too. That'll be fun. But yeah. Anyway, I made it to midnight 30, and I'm not even gonna have a whiskey tonight. Crazy. Y'all are making me healthy. Before I actually leave, what platform do you primarily stream on? YouTube. If you just YouTube @AlphaBasic, ALPHABASIC. That's my streaming channel. And as you can see, I'm up in the game. I want to be streaming gear like this. I want to be streaming gear and then hiring an editor to make edits that are kind of like the old Ben and Gear videos. I feel like that's a good way to keep the streams going and keep them interesting because they've just been kind of chaotic. And that's why everything's been so chaotic with streaming in the last couple of weeks, is because I've been upgrading to, now I have two sets. I have a software setup in there, and I have a hardware setup out here. And I have a whole white screen that comes back here and stuff. I just, kind of off the cuff today. But anyway, no, not the puppet, or not the clay Mr. Bill, the EDM I guess you call him EDM, IDM legend, Mr. Bill. All right. Take care, everybody.